Hello, my name is Tony Chan. I'm reporting for Telecom TV today. With me is Sanjeev Murvana. He's the Senior Director of Marketing for the service provider business for Cisco. His focus is actually on SDN and NFV, and we're going to talk about how Cisco is helping service providers transform their networks through these technologies. Sanjeev, thanks for joining us at Telecom
Thank you,
TV.
Tony. Thank you.
So what is Cisco doing in this area in terms of helping telecoms operators and service providers get into the next generation networking?
Yeah, I think if you look at the biggest challenge what the service providers have faced, specifically whether it is AP, Asia Pacific, or even if you look at globally, I think the biggest challenge what they're faced with is how can they help, how can they reduce their operational expenditure cost. I mean, that is one of the biggest challenges they are facing. Along with how can they become more relevant in this new digital economy and start having more monetizable services. So if you look at that perspective, Cisco is working with service provider community worldwide in helping them achieve their specific business outcomes as they transform their business. Because it's at the end of the day, it's all about their business transformation, because there's a major shift which is happening into their business, and that's what we are specifically partnering with them to actually solve those challenges.
Okay, so how do you think telecoms operators need to transform their business in terms of what can they do to their business to take advantage of these technologies?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, and many of the providers are already have started on this journey. When I talk about their business transformation, that transformation is actually being driven by their end customers. And their end customers either could be larger enterprises or consumers. And if you look at what enterprises and consumers are actually asking them to do, that's where the major shift is occurring from a business perspective. So for example, enterprises, IT is getting more and more consumerized, or they are moving towards new ways of consuming services. And that's one way how a service provider can actually evolve their business to offer those new sets of services to their enterprise customers, apart from what they're already offering from a connectivity perspective, VPN services, Ethernet services, and so forth. Those services are going to continue. But for them to become more relevant as their enterprises are shifting their business, they have to evolve their business model. So that's one of the area. On the consumer side, consumers like you and me are always looking for things like consistent experience. And what I mean by that is, we actually don't care how we get into the network. We are ultimately looking forward to how we are using a specific service. And that's what the service provider actually are looking towards, that how can they transform their business model irrespective of how a consumer enters their network. Today's models are very much tied to how a consumer enters a specific part of the network. It could be a fixed line, could be a mobile network, could be using LTE, and there are various different access mechanisms. So a service provider needs to transform of how they're offering that end service to their consumer, irrespective of how they are entering the network.
So how does SDN enable them to do that?
Yeah. SDN, software-defined networks, brings a lot of promise into solving some of the challenges what the SPs are facing. SDN as a technology brings a lot of promises around bringing the aspect of operational simplicity, bringing the notion of programmability into the networks, and an aspect of bringing agility along with network function virtualization, which can address some of these challenges what the SPs are facing, whether it be reduction of operational cost, which is skyrocketing for them, or going towards new revenue-generating services. That's where SDN and NFV, along with other technologies, would help the service provider and basically attain those end results.
So have you seen any tangible benefits from the implementation of these technologies?
Yeah, actually, during this event, I shared a couple of use cases where we have seen tangible benefits for some of the operators, specifically within this region itself. One was around getting an operational efficiency of running the undersea network, and where SDN and NFV has helped both from the notion of having the right visibility of where the resources are, and then moving those resources on demand has helped this provider achieve an operational benefit of about 45%. And in this kind of an environment, it's quite a bit, especially when they're quite heavily CapEx constrained. So that's one specific advantage. I also shared other examples of new revenue generating services around the new business model for addressing either the enterprise customer using the mobile networks, leveraging things like virtualized packet core, or leveraging virtualized GI-LAN kind of services, and also with things like combining SDN technologies with network function virtualization for enterprise customers for offering managed business services. These are one of the areas where SPs can absolutely incrementally grow their business, and anywhere from 15 to 20%, which is quite a bit in this kind of environment.
When people talk about SDNs, it's very difficult not to mention this one overbearing protocol called OpenFlow. It seems it's almost synonymous together. The two always tend to be mentioned at the same time. But as one of the biggest networking equipment vendors, you have a lot more than just a single protocol. Right? So what is your approach to implementation of SDN?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Tony, because think about it as technology is not an end, it's a means to an end. And the way Cisco is looking at is actually helping our customers solve their end business outcome, whether it can be achieved using OpenFlow or whether it can be achieved using other standard protocols like NetComm-VIANG, which is also very much a standard base, or other protocols which are there, which is driven by IETF and so forth. So we would embrace any technology which would allow us to help solve our customers' end business outcome. That's as simple as that. We don't have any technology religion.
Okay, so let's say I'm one of your customers and I'm running SP network, and I want to transform my infrastructure with these two technologies, software-defined networking and network functions virtualization. What would you say to me?
I would specifically go and ask for, okay, before I get into the discussion about the technology, I would try and ask you, what is your end business result which you are trying to achieve? And your business outcome could be, hey, currently I'm offering my services to my enterprise customer. It takes me anywhere from 120 to 150 days to even offer a new service. Can you help me bring it down to, let's say, less than a week? That would be one of the business outcomes. And then I can tell you that how SDN and NFV can help you do that. So our discussion would not start from a technology point of view. Our discussion will start from a business point of view of how we can help you achieve that.
So I'm still the customer, and I have a certain limited budget to spend on this, right? There's so many vendors or solutions out there involving NFV, involving SDN. What do I start with?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point. And honestly, especially within the service provider environment, not only their customers are asking for new consumption models, new ways of consuming their services, and they want to have a different ways of paying the service providers as well. Cisco definitely understands that, and that's why we have made it very easy for our service provider customers as well to consume our products and solutions. For example, we allow our customers to actually either buy individualized products or services, or we could help them buy an integrated solution just from a software perspective, or you could even have a pay-as-you-grow kind of a service working with Cisco, so that based on how you are turning up your service, you can start paying Cisco based on either subscription licenses and based on how you are growing. So we have made it very simple for our SP customers to consume our products and solution, which can ultimately help them deliver their business outcomes.
Okay, so but is there a low-hanging fruit that I can just grab off?
I think if you look at from a low-hanging fruit perspective, there are specific use cases which SPs are looking at immediately, and that could be, if I look at it from the infrastructure perspective, it's all about consolidation and making sure that they do not create parallel networks, and ease of management, ease of provisioning, and automation is a first step people are looking at. But they're all looking at those use cases from a specific service perspective. I mentioned about bandwidth on demand, which is a fundamental business what the SPs are offering. And then in case of VPN business, which they're offering to their enterprise customers, a virtualized CPE-based model is a very common use case, which is so many providers are looking at adopting. There are also mobile internet use cases, from how can you take your mobile infrastructure and expand your base outside of offering it just to the consumers, and how can you combine both your LTE offering in competing with, let's say, for example, fixed wireline operators in offering to the enterprise side of the house. That's another use case what people are looking at. And another one which we have started rolling out, what we call it as in the video space, which is quite big in this region as well, is based on cloud DVR. So these are some of the use cases which people are actually started implementing it right now.
Okay, so the last area I want to talk to you about is ecosystems. With SDN and NFV, seems an open industry-wide ecosystem is a very important component to grow innovation and develop new applications. Where does Cisco fit into this concept?
Yeah, it's a very important question, Tony, because not only from the innovation and the development, where we are partnering with a lot of open source community, let's say, for example, Open Daylight, Open Networking Foundation, or in case of orchestration with OpenStack, we are contributing very heavily in leveraging those open source community. But also, when we talk about go-to-market, right, we rely on our partners very heavily into this go-to-market approach, because we definitely believe that this is all about ecosystem as we start solving our customers' challenges. Whether you talk about what we have been doing with our unified compute system, or whether you talk about what we have been talking about with our recent announcement of Intercloud, it's all about leveraging the partner ecosystem in actually creating that strong cohesiveness, especially for the service provider community, as they start competing with their competitors. Because I think more than ever, the carrier community need to work closely, and actually Cisco is enabling that with things like Cisco's Intercloud announcement.
Sanjeev, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks for the opportunity.